All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. My brothers and sisters over at Patreon. You know, myself and Elder Rufus was talking earlier, and we was talking about concubines. And the reason why we're talking about concubines, because you don't never hear anybody talking about it. And as far as what is the purpose or reason of talking about it, well, there are a bunch of variables in this. There's a whole bunch of things going on here in the world, all right? First of all, number one, I'm not a man that's out of touch with people's emotions and feelings. And I think that people's emotions and feelings a lot of times are displaced, but I know that women have desires, especially young single women who don't have a consort, who don't have any covering whatsoever at all. And there's not much that is really truly spoken about as far as concubinage in the scriptures. I mean, it's there, and the blueprint is pretty much there. But when it comes to marriage, it's crystal clear what the expectations are and stuff. But I'm not going to probably be able to exhaust this subject while I'm on this particular video right here, but it is something I need to talk about. I realize that a lot of men, not a lot of concubine men, excuse me. I realize that a lot of women go around in Israel suppressing their natural desires, being sexually frustrated. And by the way, this is a video for adults. Being sexually frustrated. And a lot of times when women are married, when the shayas have someone covering them, they're already covered. They're already taken care of in the sexual situation. And sometimes women can be insensitive towards the needs and the desires of another woman who desires to be covered. And the problem that we're having is that most people don't want to come to the reality that you're just simply not wife material. Now, I know that that cuts a little bit. I know that that really truly does, because we are in this particular dysphoria. We're here in this country where everybody gets married, including the heathens. Everybody gets married. At least they think they're married. And marriage is really truly not taken serious in this country right here at all. But you could have had the wrong upbringing. You could have been sexually promiscuous, whatever it is. But the truth is that many of you just simply not wife material. Don't ask me why the Most High Yah has these laws for women and don't have these laws for men. He is the author, he is the creator, and he can run this universe any way that he wants. He didn't ask me, he didn't ask my opinion, he didn't ask my thoughts, he didn't ask me nothing when he created this earth and hung this earth on nothing. And if he didn't ask me, he damn sure didn't ask you. All we have to do is line up with whatever is prescribed, whatever's right. But sometimes if women are married, they can forget at times that there are women who have desires, sexual desires, that need to be fulfilled. Or they continue on in silence and a life of quiet pain. And don't tell me that women don't get sexually frustrated. And don't tell me that women don't want sex just as much as men. I don't want to hear that. I've got a size and I know better, so y'all ain't telling me nothing. I think that really what needs to take place is that there sincerely needs to be a reality check. I think that this is a subject that needs to be talked about, no matter how unpopular and uncomfortable that it may be, but it's a subject that needs to be talked about. I think if we're going to build a nation, that we need to have every aspect of the nations, and it always starts with the home. It always starts with the home. And in doing that, since we don't have any blueprint out here that is written by people concerning how to go about doing it, we are going along ourselves, learning as we go, sometimes making mistakes, many times having successes, sometimes having failures, but the intent of the heart is right because we want to get it right. I was speaking to somebody, matter of fact, my shy, no, it was Elder Rufus, excuse me. I talk to so many people on a daily basis, it's kind of hard for me to remember. But I was speaking with Elder Rufus, and he was, I'm way off. It was Kabir. And I was talking to Brother Kabir this morning, and he said, Pastor, you know that this system right here is actually against the Hebrew Israelite biblical construct of marriage simply because it's economic warfare against their system. I said, sure it is. And he goes on explaining about how he was reading about this one guy who had, I think, and I'm probably, just don't hold me to these numbers, I'm close. I think he had like 3 wives and 2 concubines or something like that, right? 4 wives, 2 concubines, somewhere along in there. And he had a business, and all of them worked in that business. And when they worked in that business, he didn't have to pay them because it's all coming home to the family. And so if you don't have to pay employees and you have your family working in the business, imagine how much capital you could amass if you have a successful business. Or, if you're just looking at that, for instance, let me give you an example. Let's say you're in the home and you have an Ashaya that is getting ready to have a child, all right? Well, she can actually stay home, raise that child, rear that child the way that the book says, train up the child in the way that should go. And if she has another side in the home that's doing the cooking, or the upkeeping of the house, or upkeeping of the family business, anytime she needs some type of relief, anytime she needs help or assistance, it's automatically there. Today, women say, well, I did it all myself. My mama did it all. Sure did, because they didn't have no sense. They did do it all themselves. And the reason why they didn't have no sense is because there wasn't preachers around like me to teach the Hebrew Israelite way. There wasn't preachers and teachers around like me that had the intestinal fortitude and integrity to stand on Yah's word and to do it, live it. And so, yeah, they did. And ask them how they do it. Ask them how many times they went to bed tired. Ask them how many times they went to work sick because they had to. Ask them how many times they did things in pain and in suffering and stuff because they had to do it. Because if the man is gone, like I was in the military, gone all the time, who else is left around to do it? You can't get the baby to do it. So it's a beautiful, beautiful situation when it's done right. Israelite marriage, Israelite family. But I think the concubines coming in, and you got too many, you don't have enough women out there. Matter of fact, you don't hardly have any women. There may be a few women that will gladly take the designation of concubine as long as they're in a good family and covered by a strong leader. But when you think about this for a second, concubinage as a whole, besides everybody, the first thing that everybody goes to is sex, 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 sex. Well, dang, I will quote a famous sister in our ministry, Sister Victoria. Damn, how long can you stay in bed? If you understand, it's not all about that. It's all about building. And I can tell you that when my family is doing right and everything is running right, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing that happens. And I see the reason why the Europeans don't want us to be in biblical families. Number one, they don't want us to outpopulate them. Because remember, the first thing they did when they came over here was kill off the majority of the indigenous people of the land. And they also, it's doing it again. I just replaced that thing. See it? See that?
Yes, sir.
Anyway, they killed off a lot of indigenous people of the land, and to the point that us melanated folks, we're only like 13% of the population. The Mexicans are like 16% of the populations, and the others, Japanese, Chinese, and all the other people like that, they're like a 9 to 11% of the population, and the rest of it is all Caucasians. But one of the things is it's called genocide. It's called social genocide because they don't want us to have large families, and they don't want us to outbreed them, if I can use that term and be pure. I'm trying to be pure as I can. But when you think about it, if you have harmony in the home, and mind you, I would love to see that day come whenever we can have testimonies from men about how much harmony they have in the house, because all of the shires or concubines are supporting that man 100%, because as he goes, they go. When you have that type of situation, you have that type of homestead, it can be so beautiful. You don't have to worry about sending your children to daycare because you have a care that the shires or the concubines could be taking care of in the day while the man is out working, bringing home the bread. And then also you have to deal with indenturism or somebody indenturing themselves, a woman indenturing themselves into servitude, 7 years. And then after that, of course, what does the book say? And it gives us the example of the father. Then he has to give her a designation. But she's charged not to go out free like the men, but at the 7th year, she has to have a designation. So there's no such thing as having a concubine. You have a 1 year, and then you turn around and say, okay, good, I wish you well, and I hope somebody else comes and covers you, and blasey, go on. No, she belongs to that man. You didn't see Beulah, Bildad, and Zilpah. You didn't see them jumping around from Jacob all over the place and stuff. Now, we do know that they had some social problems right there, but you didn't see them jumping around. They stayed up under Jacob. As a matter of fact, Jacob pretty much pronounced a curse on Reuben, who actually went and laid with him, because that was his. A concubine is also covered, also considered a lower form of a wife, meaning the only difference is she doesn't have any inheritance rights. And so you women out there, many of you, as painful as it is, you're going to have to get used to listening to this and hearing this. Just because you are a woman, you've been out there, been promiscuous and carrying on and all this other stuff, and nobody taught you the way. Too bad, so sad. When you've got children, make sure you bring them up in the way. But don't sit up there and call yourself 1,000% white material when a man doesn't even know what personality he's going to be dealing with from one day to the next. So don't sit up there and tell me that you're sitting up there, or that you're 100% white material. Let the man do the designation of that. Now, how we go about this, now we'll talk about this in another video. We really will. This is the things that probably the shias are not going to like hearing today, because a lot of shias in the ministry, this is a very painful subject to them whenever a woman or a shia is considered coming into the household. Why? I don't know. Because after all, if he's the king, if he's the master, you got to ask yourself, would you talk to the king or talk to the master in your kind of way? We're going to come back with a portion or two. I may even get a Zoom, and myself and Elder Rufus really speak on this a hell of a lot, because it's something that needs to be talked about, simply because, number one, makes people uncomfortable. Number two should be number one, it's the truth. And what's that one sister said as author of that book? You should want for your sister what you want for yourself. But we don't have that here. No, we don't. Not in America, we don't. We just simply don't. But anyway, hope y'all have a wonderful day. I don't know if I even talked about this before, called it Concubine 1, Concubine 2, Concubine 3, or whatever it is. But we'll come back and talk more about this at a later time. Shalom.